What's up guys, my name is Matt Hotchkiss and welcome to my YouTube channel. So it has been approximately 2 months since I uploaded the first video of this car, and a lot has happened over those 2 months and I have not filmed basically anything. Been working a lot, the holidays came up, so a lot of things came into play. I wasn't really working on this. I've actually been helping one of my good buddies build his 88 Jeep, so that's been taking up a lot of my time. But now that things are starting to calm down again, things are starting to open up again from COVID, I'm going to start to try and record a lot more of this project, hopefully making it even more amazing for the final result. But anyways, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to show you around a lot of the things that I've done over the past 2 months. So I'd like to start off with one of the bigger things that happened over the past 2 months. We removed the engine. There's the first thing that we had to do. Then we prepped it. Then I painted it. I didn't like how the paint turned out. Prepped it again. Sanded it all the way down to bare metal this time. Put a layer of POR 15 to seal the bare metal. It's a really good base coat. You can actually paint over top of it. Then after that, we put primer on it, a high build primer, sanded that down so it was nice and smooth. Added our base coat, which was 3 coats of it was some GM color, it was black metallic, but it looks really good in the bay. Followed by 3 coats of 2K clear. So the engine bay is properly painted and it looks amazing. It's very dusty right now because I've been sanding a lot, as you can probably see from my body. But when it's clean and when it was first cured, it looks amazing and it's very glossy, which I absolutely love. So after that, I started putting the engine bay wiring harnesses back into place, put the subframe, or mounted the front subframe so I could put the steering rack. I just wanted to make sure that I had all the right lines and so that everything kind of, started going back together. I didn't have as many parts laying around. For the engine bay, for just painting it, there was a lot of prep work that went into it. I actually took, pretty sure, a weekend or 2 to get it how I wanted it, and now that I spent all that time and how it's finished, I think it was really worth it because, what can I say, it looks amazing. As you can see, here's the engine bay, and it's not gonna focus, but turned out really well, in my opinion, for doing it in more of a freezing cold garage. It worked out pretty well. I'm happy with it, and 90% of it's going to get covered with engine components anyways. So it was more just having a base color that wasn't silver, because that's what the color of the car before was. So my next battle, for anyone who watched the first video, kind of the introduction of this car, was these fenders. The fenders were, actually, I'm going to go grab them. This was the front fender that came on the car, and after I don't even know how many hours of trying to work on it, I finally gave up and went out and found some really good condition front fenders for the car. And not only did it save me countless hours of working, it actually took away a lot of the imperfections of the car. These fenders, for whatever reason, weren't lining up 100% how I wanted them. These ones do. I don't know if these ones were bent when they got hit. Probably should have done this, saved a lot of time and money if I did this from the start. But we got new fenders. They're getting prepped for primer, and they're looking really good. So looking at the front fenders, there are a few things that I wanted to tweak to make it more my own, and just because I feel like they might look a little bit better. One thing that might be standing out is the red blob of body filler there. Usually there's some kind of indicator, which I think I might have over here. Yeah, so this indicator typically goes right there. Now, what we did was we put a piece of sheet metal behind there, epoxied it and siliconed it on, and then filled it with body fillers to fill it up. And you might be able to see. Right there is where the sheet metal went, and yeah, so we just filled that in, and it really makes the body line uninterrupted, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that was the one big thing that we did for the fenders. Not really much to do aside from that. So yeah, on to the next thing. Everything else on the car. We've done a lot of body work. And when I say a lot of body work, I mean a lot of stripping and a lot of sanding. We have stripped out all the glass in the car except for the front and rear windshield. The rear quarter glasses are out, as well as the door windows are out. We took the mirrors off, all the trim off. It's basically down to just the shell of the car, and it's currently being sanded to go into primer, which should happen quite soon. So here's, as you can probably see from the other clips, this is where the car is at the moment. I'm sanding it down. Most of it is done so far in the 180 grit. Parts of it have been done in 220, and I know that the hood, all that the hood has to be done is sand it with 320 on the DA just to soften up some of those scratches, and then it'll be ready for paint. Have a few more spots I need to finish up with the glazing putty, but here you can kind of get a better idea of how it'll look without the indicator there. So what does that mean moving forward? My first goal that I want to do is make more videos because I want to make them for myself. Whether or not people watch these, if I get 50 views or a million views, it's not going to change the fact that I want to be able to watch these videos once I'm done the car, to look back, as it is like one of my bigger undertakings in life. As a detailer, I've done some body work and some paint before, but nothing even close to what I'm doing here. I barely scratched the surface in that aspect. The biggest thing is I want to be able to watch it in the future and show some people how the car got to the point it is when it's finished. Other than that, I think I'm going to try and make the style of the video more of like a hangout, as if I was hanging out with some friends in the garage, because the biggest issue I'm having with filming is I get out here and I start working and I don't stop to film, or I don't think to film. So maybe if I just set up a camera, explain what I'm doing and work a bit, kind of like how I'm doing right now, that might be a bit more entertaining and engaging. As for the car, to get it up to standard and running and driving, I've got a big list, a fairly extensive list that's hanging on the wall over there, and there's a few things crossed off. Out of the entire list, I think there's 3 or 4 things crossed off, so I've got a lot of work to do, and there's going to be a lot of cool things to film, so hopefully that's entertaining for everyone. Since I ripped the engine out of it, there's got to be something to replace it, and wrapped up in the corner of the garage, I found a very low kilometer M54, and it was the 330, which is pretty much what I wanted. I wish I could find a ZHP motor, but those are very far and few, and they fetch a premium on the price. So the 330 is a great place to start with and work on. For most of the stuff I'm planning on doing to it, it's not going to make a difference whether or not I have a 330 ZHP engine or a normal 330, as tune and the cams are both going to change, and that's basically what makes a ZHP engine a ZHP engine. That's stripped down. I'm going to be painting the block they call it a rebuilder's finish. It's basically aluminum or like any machined metal, what the color that looks like. Probably will pop really nicely in the bay, which I'm happy for and I'm excited. Other than that, we've got cams coming in, new timing kit, whole new gasket kit. Not much like internal body or internal engine work, but the basics to make it like a fun, peppy car. Pretty much it for the engine. It's just going to be a clean, simple, reliable engine, hopefully. Catless headers onto it with a custom exhaust, so that will not only sound really good, but it'll help it perform better. These engines are notorious for rasp. I hate rasp, so I'm planning on doing 2 vibrant resonators in the mid section with a MagnaFlow, some kind of box muffler at the end to kind of keep it reasonably loud and give it a nice tone. Suspension and steering components, that is the next big step after all the body work is done. I've got I'm forgetting the name of it. It's a front end kit from FSP Euro. It basically includes every single part that I need for the front end. They're all reinforced aluminum tie rods and lower control arms. So it's more performance oriented, and it'll refresh the whole system with the ball joints. So that'll be nice. Scale coilovers coming in, body kit for it, front bumper, rear bumper, and side skirts. Really trying to find a decent condition M-Tech kit. I like those styles, and I don't want to do like an M3 style because I'm not doing an M3 car. So once we find that, then we'll be right off to paint and getting her done. I kind of want to talk about more like the in-depth things for bushings and stuff like that. A lot of people when they're building an E46, especially younger people who have these cars, think that getting solid bushings or like race bushings throughout the car is going to be the best bang for your buck. I slightly disagree with that. I want the car to feel comfortable as well. So I'm going to be doing a mix of, I believe they're 80 durometer bushings where it counts, and then I'm going to be doing M3 bushings in some places where they've kind of fixed the issues with them, and those issues would be the rear trailing arms. There's no real need for me to go with a solid bushing or a performance bushing because of the ride quality difference that you'll get from them. With the rear trailing arms, how they're set up, when you have a more solid bushing, you're going to feel more of the vibration, and due to the amount of driving that I'm planning on doing with this car, I'd rather have a more comfortable ride, sacrificing some performance, than having all the performance while not having a comfortable ride while I'm doing 3-hour trips up to my cottage or wherever I'm going. But for subframe, engine mounts, tranny mounts, the majority of the bigger bushings, they're going to be 80 durometer. That's what I'm going with for bushings, and hopefully my decision to mix up a few things will benefit me in the end and get me where I want. So here is the E46 project list, and as you can see, it's very big. It covers everything from bumpers all the way down to like timing chain and electric fan and stuff like that. So right now, the only things that are crossed off are going to be the calipers being painted, the parking brake cables, front fenders, and there was a little bit of rust on the mirrors that I've fixed up, but for the most part, nothing's really been crossed off, which is concerning to a lot of people, but a lot of those things are connected to each other, so once I get one part, I'll be able to fix the other part, and it's kind of just like one after the other will get fixed. And once I get the biggest things done, every little piece is just going to fall into place and should be pretty easy to put together. It's just a big piece of Lego, and as long as you have all the pieces, you're going to be able to make the car work again.
Alright, let's get to standing. Got a lot to do, it's going to be very dusty, so got the dust mask.
Alrighty, well, that's going to be the end of the video. Got a lot done over the weekend, and it's very, very close to paint. Crossed off a few things off the list, and guess the next video will be priming the other side, hopefully the rest of the car, and soon we'll be getting rolling parts in to get it on the ground and rolling. So until then, like and subscribe for the videos, and I'll see you in the next one.